The community center was decorated in soft yellow and white, balloons clustered in every corner, a three-tiered cake on the dessert table surrounded by delicate petit fours. My sister Lauren had organized everything, she always did. Every detail was perfect, from the games printed on cream cardstock to the flower arrangements that probably cost more than what my family thought I made in a month. I sat in the designated mom-to-be chair, a wicker throne draped in tulle, with my hands resting on my 8-month pregnant belly. Around me 40 women filled the room. My mother, my aunts, cousins, family friends, Lauren's sorority sisters who'd never actually met me but showed up for the champagne and Instagram opportunities. Time for gifts, Lauren announced, clapping her hands together. At 35, 3 years older than me, she'd perfected the art of making everything look effortless. Her blonde hair was styled in beachy waves, her outfit was pristinely coordinated, and her smile was bright enough to power the entire city. My mother wheeled over a cart stacked with presents. "We're so excited for you, sweetheart," she said, though her voice had that particular tone I'd learned to recognize over the years. The one that said, "We're doing this out of obligation, not enthusiasm." I started opening gifts. A baby monitor from my Aunt Carol, still in the box but clearly purchased from a discount store. A pack of receiving blankets from my cousin Jennifer, the Target tag still attached. A diaper bag from my mother's book club friend, serviceable but nothing special. "Very practical," my mother said after each gift. "That's what you need right now, practical items." "I appreciate it," I said, meaning it. These women had spent their money on me. That mattered even if they thought I was barely scraping by. Then my mother pulled out a large garbage bag. "Now for the main gift," she announced to the room. "Lauren and I put this together. We knew new baby things would be too expensive for you, so we collected hand-me-downs from family." She appended the bag on the gift table. Clothes tumbled out, onesies, sleepers, tiny pants and shirts. All of them clearly used. Many of them stained with faded marks that hadn't quite washed out. A few had visible holes. "We got you hand-me-downs since you can't afford new baby things," my mother said proudly, holding up a onesie with a mysterious brown stain on the front. "These are from Lauren's kids, from cousin Jennifer's kids, from various family members. All still perfectly usable." My sister smirked. "Be grateful. This is probably 6 months' worth of clothes. Do you know how much it would cost to buy all this new?" "A lot," I said quietly. "Exactly," Lauren said, her smirk widening. "But since you're working that little freelance design job from home, we knew you couldn't afford it. So this is our gift, practical help for our struggling artist." Several women tittered. I felt my face heat up, but I kept my expression neutral. I smiled. "Thank you. I appreciate you thinking of me." "Of course," my mother said, starting to fold the stained clothes back into the bag. "That's what family does. We help each other. Especially when some of us are going through difficult times financially." "I'm not," I started then stopped. What was the point? They'd decided years ago that I was struggling. Nothing I said would change their minds. "Now," Lauren said, pulling out a tablet and tapping it authoritatively, "I've also created a budget spreadsheet for you. It breaks down essential baby expenses, shows you where you can cut costs, and suggests which items you can buy secondhand versus which ones you absolutely need to buy new for safety reasons." She held up the tablet for the room to see. "I'm thinking of turning this into a blog post. Budget Baby, How to Have a Child When You're Financially Challenged. Maya's situation is perfect inspiration." "That's wonderful, dear," my Aunt Carol said. "So helpful for young women who make questionable career choices." "Exactly," Lauren agreed. "I mean, I love Maya, but she did choose to drop out of architecture school to do freelance design work. That's a choice that has consequences." I hadn't dropped out. I'd graduated with honors and immediately been recruited by a firm, but I'd never bothered correcting that particular family myth. "At least she found a husband willing to support her," my mother's friend Patricia added. "That nice accountant. What was his name?" "Daniel," I supplied. "Yes, Daniel. At least he has a stable job. Otherwise I don't know how you'd manage." Daniel was indeed an accountant. What they didn't know was that he was a senior partner at one of the top accounting firms in the country, handling major corporate accounts. But again, they'd never asked for details. "Let's play a game," Lauren announced, clearly wanting to move past my difficult financial situation. I made custom bingo cards, baby advice bingo. Everyone write down the most important piece of advice you have for Maya. The game proceeded with advice ranging from practical to contradictory to outright bizarre. My mother advised me to stay home as much as possible. Babies need stability, and since you work from home anyway, you won't need childcare. Lauren's advice was, make sure you bounce back quickly. I was back to my pre-pregnancy weight in 6 weeks with both of mine. You'll need to work harder since you don't have the same body type I do, but it's doable. After the games finished, we moved to cake. Lauren had ordered it from an expensive bakery, the same place she ordered all her party cakes. White fondant with hand-piped flowers in yellow and white. It was beautiful. This is too much, I said quietly as she cut the first slice. Nothing's too much for my little sister, Lauren said, though her tone suggested otherwise. Even if you can't afford to reciprocate. That's what big sisters are for. As we ate cake, the conversation shifted to my living situation. Are you still in that tiny apartment? Aunt Carol asked. The studio in Queens? Yes, I said. Well, once the baby comes, you'll really need to find something bigger, she said, her voice full of concern. A studio is no place for a child. We're managing, I said. You'll need a nursery, my mother added. Babies need their own space. Have you thought about where you'll put a crib? I have a plan, I said. A plan, Lauren repeated, and her tone was patronizing. Maya, you can't just plan. You need actual space. Daniel makes decent money. Maybe you two should look at a one-bedroom. Or you could move in with us for a while, my mother offered. Until you get on your feet. I have that spare room. You and Daniel could use it, and I could help with the baby while you work. That's not necessary, I said. Maya, you need to be realistic, Lauren said, her voice taking on that edge that meant she was about to deliver uncomfortable truths. You're about to have a baby. You live in 400 square feet. You work a freelance job that, let's be honest, probably brings in what, $30,000 a year? Maybe less. Lauren, Daniel said quietly from across the room. He'd been chatting with some of the women's husbands, but he'd clearly heard his wife being discussed. I'm being helpful, Lauren insisted. Someone needs to talk to Maya about reality. She's always been a dreamer, but babies require practical planning. I have practical plans, I said. Like what? Lauren challenged. Tell us your plans. Where are you going to put a crib? A changing table? A dresser? You don't have room in that studio. I was about to respond when I saw them through the window. 3 large Amazon delivery trucks were pulling into the parking lot. My heart started pounding. Excuse me, I said, standing up with some difficulty. 8 months pregnant made quick movements challenging. I need to use the restroom. But I wasn't heading to the restroom. I was heading outside. I intercepted the delivery manager as he was getting out of the first truck. Marcus, I said quietly. What are you doing here? Marcus Reynolds, head of Amazon Home's delivery operations, looked at his tablet. Ms. Harper, this is the address you gave us for the preview delivery. The community center on Maple Avenue. I said next Saturday, I hissed. The baby shower is next Saturday. He checked his tablet again, his face falling. Oh no. Ma'am, I'm so sorry. The schedule shows today. The entire installation team is here. 3 trucks, 12 people, $200,000 worth of nursery furniture. It's fine, I said, my mind racing. Just, can you turn around? Come back next week. Ms. Harper, with respect, we have the Harper Collection debut next Tuesday. This is the preview installation for the press. If we don't do it today, we won't have time for photos and media before the launch. Amazon's PR team is scheduled to be here in an hour. I closed my eyes. Of course. The Harper Collection. Amazon's new premium nursery line that I'd spent 18 months designing. The collection that was about to launch and be featured in every parenting magazine in the country. The collection that was the centerpiece of my contract renewal negotiations. Then 3 Amazon trucks pulled up outside. I heard my sister say loudly from the community center entrance. She'd come outside with several other guests, all of them staring at the trucks with confusion. Maya, what's going on? Lauren called. Why are there Amazon trucks here? Marcus, professional as always, was already walking toward the community center entrance with his tablet. The delivery manager walked in. Ms. Harper. I cut him off. Wrong address. This is a mistake. We'll reschedule. He checked his tablet, his expression confused. No, ma'am. Delivery for the Amazon Home Designer Collection. You designed it. This is the address for the preview installation. We have the entire Harper collection. The convertible crib, the smart changing station, the modular storage system, the rocking chair with the integrated sound system. Everything you spent the last year and a half designing. The silence from the community center was absolute. My family stared as Marcus gestured to his team. Workers began unloading from the trucks. Sleek, modern furniture pieces in soft colors, each one clearly expensive, each one wrapped carefully in protective materials. Ma'am, Marcus continued, consulting his tablet, should we set up in the main room as planned? The photographer needs everything assembled for the shoot in approximately 45 minutes. Photographer, my mother said faintly. A second person emerged from one of the trucks. A woman I recognized immediately as Jessica Winters, Amazon's VP of Home Products. Hiya. Jessica said warmly, coming over to kiss my cheek. I know we're early, but Marcus said we had the correct time. Are you ready to see your collection fully assembled? I have to say the final production pieces are even more stunning than the prototypes. Jessica, I said weakly, this is my baby shower. Jessica's eyes widened as she took in the decorated community center, the women staring at us, the obvious celebration in progress. Oh my God. Maya, I'm so sorry. We have the date wrong. We can come back. It's fine, I said, because what else could I say? The trucks were here. The team was here. The furniture was already being unloaded. And my family was watching everything. Ms. Harper, one of the delivery workers called out, holding a large box. Where do you want the smart crib? This is the flagship piece. The one with the integrated monitors, the automatic rocking feature, and the smartphone controls. Smart crib, Lauren said, moving closer. Maya, what is he talking about? I took a deep breath. There was no backing out now. The Amazon Home Designer Collection. I designed it. The entire line. Cribs, changing tables, storage systems, chairs, everything. It's launching next week. You designed it, my mother repeated numbly. Yes. For Amazon. Yes. Jessica, realizing what was happening, pulled out her own tablet. Perhaps I should provide some context. Maya, may I? I nodded, too overwhelmed to speak. Jessica addressed my family with the confidence of someone used to presenting to executives. Maya Harper is Amazon's lead home designer. She was recruited 4 years ago to develop our premium home products line. The Harper Collection, named after her, is the result of 18 months of design work, testing, and development. It's the first comprehensive nursery system designed by a parent for parents. She pulled up images on her tablet. Every piece in this collection is Maya's design. The smart crib that monitors baby's sleep and adjusts the environment automatically. The changing station with built-in organization and sanitary features. The modular storage that grows with the child. The aesthetic is mid-century modern with contemporary smart features. Maya's signature style. Signature style, Aunt Carol whispered. The collection retails for approximately $200,000 for the complete set, Jessica continued. Though individual pieces can be purchased separately. We're expecting it to be one of our biggest launches of the year. Pre-orders have already exceeded projections. $200,000, Lauren said faintly. For custom nursery furniture, Jessica confirmed. Maya's designs combine luxury aesthetics with practical functionality. She's revolutionized nursery design. Marcus's team continued working, bringing in piece after piece. A crib that looked like it belonged in an interior design magazine. A changing station with clean lines and hidden storage. A rocking chair that was more like a piece of sculpture than furniture. Modular shelving that could be configured a dozen different ways. Because she didn't just design for Amazon. Jessica said, pulling up another document on her tablet. She's our lead home designer with a $12 million contract. She showed the tablet to my mother, who was standing closest. On the screen was a contract summary. Amazon Home Products, lead designer. Maya Harper, contract value, $12.4 million over 4 years. $12 million, my mother said, the words barely audible. That's the current contract, Jessica explained. We're in negotiations for renewal. Given the success of the Harper Collection preview sales, We're looking at closer to $18 million for the next 4-year term. She looked at me apologetically. I know you didn't want this announced publicly yet, but since we're here, congratulations, Maya. The board approved the new contract this morning. Pending your signature, of course. $18 million, Lauren repeated like the words didn't make sense. Over 4 years, Jessica clarified. Plus royalties on sales, which for the Harper collection alone are projected to add another $3 to $4 million annually. My Aunt Carol sat down heavily in a nearby folding chair. But you work from home, my mother said, still trying to process. You do freelance design work. I work from home for Amazon, I corrected gently. I'm a remote employee. And it's not freelance. I'm a salaried designer with benefits, stock options, and contracts. I've been with Amazon for 4 years. For years, my mother repeated. The tiny apartment you keep mentioning? I continued. It's actually a 2-bedroom in Tribeca. I use the second bedroom as my design studio. Rent is $6,800 a month. The reason I said I was in a studio in Queens is because you asked what neighborhood I lived in, and when I said Tribeca, you laughed and said, we all wish we could afford Tribeca. I didn't correct you. But the clothes, Lauren said, gesturing at the bag of hand-me-downs. You let us give you stained, used clothes. Because you were trying to help, I said simply. Because refusing would have caused a scene. Because sometimes accepting a gift graciously is more important than the gift itself. Jessica was watching this family drama unfold with obvious discomfort. Should we come back another time? No, I said. You're here. The furniture's here. Let's set it up. Family can watch. Consider it a preview. Over the next 30 minutes, Marcus's team assembled the Harper collection in the center of the community center. They worked with practiced efficiency, each piece clicking into place with the satisfying precision of well-designed furniture. The crib was first, sleek white wood with clean lines, smart sensors built discreetly into the frame. A control panel on the side allowed for adjusting mattress height, gentle rocking motion, and integrated white noise or lullabies. The crib monitors sleep patterns, I explained, falling into designer mode. It adjusts the environment, temperature, sound, gentle motion, based on the baby's needs. All controlled by an app, but with manual overrides for those who prefer hands-on parenting. The changing station came next, a beautiful piece with a natural wood finish, multiple drawers and hidden compartments. The top surface was heated and wipeable with integrated organization for diapers, wipes, and supplies. Everything a parent needs within arm's reach, I said. The design philosophy is one hand free. You never need to leave the baby unattended to grab something. The modular storage system was perhaps the most impressive. Shelves and drawers that could be configured in dozens of ways, growing with the child from infancy through toddlerhood. This is my favorite piece, I admitted. The system adapts. When the baby is young, it's set up for easy access to baby items. As the child grows, it reconfigures into toy storage, then eventually into a bookshelf and dresser system. One purchase that lasts 10 years. The rocking chair was last, a stunning mid-century modern piece upholstered in soft gray fabric, with built-in speakers in the headrest for lullabies or podcasts, and USB charging ports in the armrests. For the parents, I said. Because good design considers everyone's needs. When it was all assembled, the collection was breathtaking. Professional. Expensive. Exactly what you'd expect from a luxury nursery line featured in Architectural Digest and Al Decor. Nothing like the bag of stained hand-me-downs sitting forlornly on the gift table. Jessica was photographing everything, sending pictures to her team. Maya, this looks incredible. Better than in the warehouse. The natural light in here is perfect. A photographer arrived, the one Jessica had mentioned from Amazon's media team. She immediately started shooting, capturing the collection from every angle. Can we get the designer with the pieces? She asked. The designer is 8 months pregnant and was in the middle of her baby shower, Jessica said firmly. Maybe just furniture shots today. Actually, I said, a few photos are fine. This is my nursery furniture after all. Makes sense to show the designer is actually a parent. I posed with the crib, with the changing station, with the complete collection. The photographer was efficient and professional, getting the shots she needed in 10 minutes. After she left, Jessica turned to my family. I apologize for interrupting your celebration. But I hope you can understand, this collection is a major launch for Amazon. Maya's work is revolutionary in the nursery space. Revolutionary, my mother echoed. Absolutely, Jessica said. Most nursery furniture is designed by people who haven't had children, or whose children are grown. Maya designed this while pregnant, incorporating all the insights of someone actually going through the experience. The result is functional, beautiful, and innovative. He checked her watch. We should clear out and let you get back to your shower. Marcus, can your team pack everything up for transport to Maya's apartment? Wait, I said. Leave it. It's mine anyway. Part of my contract is that I get the prototype collection. This is going in my nursery. We'll just transport it there after the shower ends. You have a nursery? Lauren asked. But the studio apartment. The 2-bedroom apartment in Tribeca, I corrected. The 2nd bedroom is currently my design studio, but next week the furniture goes in and it becomes the nursery. I'll move my design equipment into the living room. But you said you didn't have room for a crib, my mother said, sounding confused. No, Lauren said I didn't have room for a crib. I never said that. I just didn't correct her because correcting her would have meant explaining the apartment, which would have meant explaining my job, which I didn't want to do. Why not? Lauren demanded. Why let us think you were struggling? Why let us give you used stained clothes when you're making millions? Because I wanted to see if you'd help me when you thought I had nothing, I said quietly. I wanted to know if you'd support me for me, not for my bank account or my success. That's not fair, my mother protested. Isn't it? I challenged. Lauren, when I told you I was dropping out of architecture school. You did drop out, she interrupted. I graduated, I said firmly. With honors. Top of my class. But I told you I was dropping out to take a design job, and what did you say? She was silent. You said I was throwing my life away. You said I'd never make anything of myself doing freelance design. You decided I was a failure and you never questioned that assumption. I looked at my mother. And Mom, when I told you Daniel and I were looking at apartments in Manhattan, you said we should be realistic and look in the outer boroughs where we could actually afford something. I told you we were looking at Tribeca and you laughed in my face. Said I'd clearly lost touch with reality. I was trying to protect you. You were trying to keep me in a box, I said. You decided what my life should look like, and when it didn't match your expectations, you decided I was failing. You never asked about my actual work. You never asked how much I made or what I did. You just assumed. Jessica cleared her throat awkwardly. I'm going to wait outside. Maya, let me know when you're ready for the team to return for transport. After she left, my family stood in a semicircle around me, all of them looking shell-shocked. Finally, Aunt Carol spoke. The hand-me-downs. Maya, I'm so embarrassed. We gave you garbage. You gave me what you thought I needed, I said. And I appreciate the thought behind it. I really do. But yes, it stung that none of you thought to ask if I actually needed used clothes. You just assumed. Because you let us assume, Lauren said, and there was anger in her voice now. You deliberately let us think you were broke. You let us give you a pity shower with second-hand items. You let Mom plan this whole thing around the idea that you couldn't afford anything. That's cruel, Maya. Is it? I asked. Crueler than spending 4 years treating me like I was poor and pathetic? Crueler than the constant comments about my little freelance job and my questionable career choices? Crueler than the pitying looks and the offers to let me move back home? We were trying to help, my mother said, tears in her eyes now. You were trying to make yourselves feel superior, I corrected, not unkindly. Lauren, you love being the successful older sister. Having me as the struggling younger sister makes you look better. And Mom, you love having a project. Having a daughter who needs saving gives you purpose. That's not fair, Lauren said, but her voice wavered. Maybe not, I agreed. But it's true, isn't it? Be honest. When you found out I was pregnant, weren't you a little bit excited to swoop in and save me? To show me how it's done? To be the expert older sister teaching the poor, unprepared younger sister? Lauren's silence was answer enough. I'm not mad, I said. I'm really not. I understand the psychology. But I needed to know if you'd be there for me even when you thought I had nothing. And you were. You organized this shower. You gave me things. You offered to help. That matters even if the help was based on false assumptions. But we gave you trash, Aunt Carol said again. Literally stained clothes. You gave me what you had to give, I said. That's worth something. My mother was crying openly now. I've been so wrong about you. For 4 years I've been treating you like you were failing. Like you needed to be rescued. And you were successful this whole time. I tried to tell you, I said gently. Multiple times. But you'd already decided who I was, and you weren't interested in revising that opinion. Daniel had been standing quietly by the wall watching everything. Now he came over and put his arm around me. For what it's worth, he said to my family, I've been telling Maya for years to just tell you about her success. But she wanted to do this her way. Why? Lauren demanded. Why put yourself through years of being treated like a charity case? Because I wanted to know who you were, I said simply. People treat you differently when they know you're successful. They want things. They calculate. They position themselves. I wanted to know who my family was when they thought I was struggling. And now I know. That we're judgmental and condescending? Lauren asked bitterly. That you show up, I corrected. That when you think someone needs help you provide it. That's worth knowing. Yes, you were patronizing. Yes, you made assumptions. But you also tried to help in the way you knew how. That matters. My mother wiped her eyes. What happens now? Now we finish the baby shower, I said. We eat cake. We play games. We celebrate. And then Marcus's team comes back and transports this furniture to my apartment. And next week, when the Harper collection launches, you can tell all your friends that your daughter designed it. You'd want us to tell people? My mother asked, surprised. Of course, I said. I'm proud of what I've built. I've just been waiting for you to be interested enough to know about it. Lauren was staring at the assembled furniture, her expression unreadable. Finally she spoke. It's beautiful. Really beautiful. You're talented, Maya. Thank you. I've been a terrible sister. You've been a complicated sister, I corrected. There's a difference. Can we start over? She asked. Can I don't know, actually get to know you? The real you, not the version I made up in my head. I'd like that, I said. We spent the rest of the shower talking, really talking. I told them about my work at Amazon, about the design process, about the challenges and successes. They asked questions and actually listened to the answers. When it was time to cut the cake, my mother made a toast. To my daughter Maya, she said, her voice shaking slightly. Who has more grace than I deserve. Who built something incredible while I was too blind to see it. Who accepted our used clothes and our pity with dignity. I'm sorry it took 3 Amazon trucks to make me actually see you. Everyone raised their champagne or sparkling cider in my case. After the shower ended, Marcus's team returned to transport the furniture. My family stood on the sidewalk watching as the beautiful nursery collection was loaded back into the trucks. Where does it go? Aunt Carol asked. My apartment, I said. The nursery I've had planned for 6 months. Can we see it sometime? My mother asked hesitantly. The apartment, the nursery, your design studio? I'd like that, I said. How about next weekend? After the Harper collection launches. I'll give you the full tour. We'd love that, she said. Lauren pulled me aside as people were leaving. I Googled you, she admitted. During the cake. There are articles, interviews, features about your work. Why didn't I ever see these? Because you never looked, I said simply. You were so convinced of your narrative about me that you never thought to question it. I'm sorry, she said, and she sounded like she meant it. I've been jealous of you since we were kids. You were always the smart one, the talented one. When I thought you were failing, it was almost a relief. And that's awful. I'm awful. You're not awful, I said. You're human. We all need to feel good about ourselves. You just did it by comparison rather than by building your own achievements. How do I fix that? Therapy, I suggested. And maybe asking yourself what you actually want out of life instead of constantly measuring yourself against me. She laughed, a slightly watery sound. When did my little sister get so wise? Around the time I designed a $200,000 nursery collection, I said with a smile. A week later, the Harper collection officially launched. It was featured in the New York Times, Architectural Digest, Parents Magazine, and a dozen other publications. The reviews were glowing. Pre-orders exceeded every projection. And my family group chat, which had been quiet for years, suddenly came alive. Mom, just saw the AD article. So proud of you. Lauren, my sister designed that. Heart emoji. Aunt Carol, everyone at book club is talking about the Harper collection. I told them I saw the prototype at your shower. Daniel showed me the messages with a raised eyebrow. How do you feel about that? Complicated, I admitted. They're proud now that there's public validation. I wish they'd been proud before. But, he prompted. But it's a start. They're learning. And maybe that's enough. The following weekend my family came to see my apartment. They walked through the two-bedroom Tribeca space with what I can only describe as shocked reverence. This is beautiful, my mother kept saying. This is just beautiful. The nursery was now fully set up with the Harper collection, the furniture arranged perfectly in the sunlit second bedroom. My family toured it like it was a museum exhibit. This is where my granddaughter will sleep, my mother said, touching the crib gently. Yes, I said. In furniture you designed. Yes. I'm sorry I didn't know you could do this, she said softly. I'm sorry I never asked. You can ask now, I said. Going forward you can ask. Lauren was in my design studio looking at the sketches and plans for my next project. What's this? Amazon's commissioning a full children's room line, I said. Furniture that grows from infant through elementary school. I'm designing the whole thing. How much is that contract worth? $23 million over 5 years, I said. If I want it. I'm still deciding. $23 million, she repeated. Maya, you're rich. I'm comfortable, I corrected. And I'm good at what I do. Those two things happen to align. She looked at me for a long moment. I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago. I'm proud of what you've built and who you've become. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. That night after my family left, Daniel and I stood in the nursery, looking at the furniture I'd designed. Are you glad it came out? He asked. About your work? Yes and no, I admitted. I wish they'd been interested before the success was validated. But at least now we can move forward honestly. No more pretending to be broke? No more pretending to be broke, I confirmed. Good. Because watching your mother give you stained onesies was actually painful. I laughed. The onesies were pretty bad. They really were. 2 months later I gave birth to a healthy baby girl. We named her Harper, after the collection, after my success, after the life I'd built on my own terms. When my family visited us in the hospital they brought gifts. New gifts, carefully chosen, beautiful things. My mother brought a cashmere baby blanket. Lauren brought an heirloom silver rattle. No hand-me-downs this time, Lauren said with a rueful smile. The hand-me-downs were fine, I said, meaning it. They came from a good place. But these are better, my mother said firmly. Because now we know who you are. And we want to celebrate that. As I held Harper in the hospital room, surrounded by my complicated, flawed, learning to be better family, I thought about that baby shower. About the stained clothes and the assumptions and the 3 Amazon trucks. It had been embarrassing. Awkward. Painful in its way. But it had also been honest. And sometimes you needed the dramatic reveal to get to the truth. Sometimes, you needed 3 Amazon trucks and $200,000 worth of furniture to make your family finally see you. And sometimes, that was exactly what it took to build a relationship based on who you actually were, not who everyone assumed you to be. Harper yawned in my arms, tiny and perfect. Welcome to the family, I whispered. We're complicated, but we're learning. And that's something. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And that I was learning was always better than the alternative.